Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to Try Hard Tuesday. As I'm going to discuss in a little bit, the name has definitely lived up to its calling today. I feel like by giving the days themed names, they tend to overdo it with living up to the exact expectation for the theme that I gave the day. I don't know if it's just that me being in tune with the days or if it's like me projecting like, oh, this is Try Hard Tuesday, like that type of thing. But wow, dude, like wow. Um excuse me. My throat has been a little raw today. I'm not exactly sure. Um my my there was a lot of yelling and a lot of running around and a lot of doing crazy stuff yesterday. It was a very off the wall day, and I was just drained and exhausted by the time stream time came. And then with the meditation and stuff like that, it definitely helped to like calm me down. But it was the first step going back to meditating that I've been away from it for so long that like it was just my first step. And I laid down to take a nap in the afternoon rather than working out because like I was that drained. And just a lot of energy with the kids and stuff like that throughout the day. A lot of stuff to run around and try to figure out and try to take care of. But the biggest part of that was my son Philip. He I talk about him a lot, and I would like to say that I don't intend on putting the wrong view of Philip out there to anybody, because I love my son to no end. I love him. He is definitely a challenging child. He's not always challenging in a bad way. That happens, but his energy level is challenging, and it's so hard. Like people think I'm kind of joking when I talk about Philip sometimes, because like in some ways he's got an unparalleled energy level, and I know a lot of parents say that about their kids. Excuse me. Excuse me. A lot of parents say that about their kids at a lot of, literally every single second that there could have been some sort of silence or even not silence. Philip was just talking and talking and talking and talking and going and going and going and going and nonstop and getting into things and going crazy. And I literally wish I wish I was exaggerating. It was literally every second of yesterday, like all day. And usually I'm pretty good at dealing with it, right? Usually I'm pretty good at working with him and getting his energy out and doing all this stuff. And I had literally tried to lay down and take a nap, and he just was not allowing that situation to happen. It was crazy town all day, and I was just so infuriated at one point that I got very upset. And I went back to my conversations last week, and I was like, the way I handled this situation I wasn't at my best. But looking back on it, it's hard to quantify. It's hard to put into words sometimes. Excuse me. I know my nose is very itchy. It's hard to quantify and put into words like the situation that happened and whatever. Like and I make it sound, I feel like, worse than what it is, or but that's it. That's what it felt like to me. And I just he just was not listening. He was not doing anything. He was purposely doing a lot to go against what I was saying and things like that. And just, I had to raise my voice, and it was just not a good situation. It ended up being good because the rest of the night was like a pretty chill night for the most part. It was just a lot yesterday. And so this goes to show, like, I'm using this as an example that even though we went through an entire week of talking about how to work with your anger, and we went yesterday about talking with about meditation and things like that, like it takes practice. It takes a lot of time. And even at the level that I'm at, even though I was talking about it a lot last week, even at the level I'm at with my frustration and my anger management and stuff like that, I'm not a saint, and that's what the reason why I talk about it with everybody on stream, especially, is because I feel like it needs to be normalized that people get stressed out, especially with your kids, with your family members, with things that are going on. It's okay to get stressed out. It's what you do with that stress. And where I've made a lot of progress is, like I said in my conversations last week, like when instead of raising my voice, I would have resorted to getting frustrated, maybe slamming a door, or like like getting mad and throwing something or whatever. And just, I toned it down a lot from what it used to be. And I used to be quick to, excuse me, I used to be quick to kind of like you know like I was talking about last week. It's hard for me to talk about because it feels like I'm so much further away from that, right? Where like not like I used to believe in spankings being okay, and that's tough for me to talk about because now I know it's not. You know what I mean? And I've come so far from that, and I've come so far from that being my teaching method in behavior management, and really focusing on using all of my cognitive behavioral skills to help my kids work through their emotions, and not to express themselves by hitting somebody else or by doing something else like that, things like that. And for those of us who are on this journey, I feel like it's such a taboo thing. Like, I just had such a hard time talking about it for myself, and I know I'm better than that. I know I'm in a much further along place than I was, and I've learned a lot. It's still so hard to talk about, and I feel like it needs to be talked about. And like, have your judgments, that's fine, but everybody comes from their own place. Everybody comes from their own upbringing. Everybody comes from their own background and whatever, and different situations. You're taught as growing up that, to handle certain situations in a certain way. And whereas spankings and, belts used to be okay in my family when I was growing up, obviously I know that level of it was not okay with my kids growing up. But I was one of those people who were like, oh, kids need to be disciplined and things like that. But once I realized that, like, it's not okay. It's not okay to put your hands on anybody. It's not okay to show them that that's the way to express their emotions. It's not okay. I grew far away from that, and I stopped that. And from where I've come from to where I am now, I've worked very hard on my relationship with my kids, and to make sure that they know that I'm a safe person that they can go to, that they can talk to, that they can learn from. And yesterday was just one of those things where it pushed my limits, and I raised my voice. And whereas it may not be a bad thing, to me, I feel like that is, for me personally. I'm not talking about, somebody yelling at their kids and whatever. Like, I'm not judging anybody, is what I mean to say. But, I've come a very, very long way from yelling out of trying to get control, and, just being able to revisit what I'm saying, And yesterday, that was not the case. Yesterday, it was just out of exhaustion, out of tiredness, out of, frustration for everything that was happening and everything that was coming that night, because we also had a lot to do that yesterday evening. And it's nothing that I'm proud of at all. It's not a thing that I'm like happy about. The part of it that I am proud of is that I was able to restrain myself as much as I did, and appreciate that I came as far as I have with that situation, and it ended up benefiting us all. I was able to stop myself and talk to him, and like, even if I raised my voice and, like I said, I walked away, to whatever, to get space between me and him for a little bit or whatever, I was able to revisit that. And do you want, talk to him? Do you understand why daddy was upset? Do you understand why I was angry, why I was mad? You know, and I don't want to, I don't like yelling at you. I don't want you to feel this way. I don't want to, be angry. I don't want to be any of these things. And we just talked about it. And, what came out of that was he was very good for the rest of the day. Certain points he was Philip, because Philip, like I say it, and like I said, I keep saying it in such a negative aspect or connotation, I feel like, but Philip is a powerful person. Philip is a powerful child, and it almost scares me, but in a good way, to see how he's going to be when he grows up, because like I already knew from the first day he started displaying it, that's his power. He is not meant to fit in. He is not meant to follow the rules. He is not meant to, just take people's bullshit, for lack of a better term. And I try to really get myself in tune with that and not try to control him, not try to parent by controlling. You know what I mean? I try to teach him. I try to help him. I try to help him express himself a little bit better. And I really try to work with him in that, because I don't want to destroy that. I want to build on that, because we need more people like that in this world. We need more people that will stand up for themselves and not take people's bullshit, and, live their own lives, and not, bend over backwards for everybody for no reason. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. So I want to facilitate that confidence and that personality in him. We always joke that he's going to be one of the best lawyers on the planet, because he can, he never gives up, and he can argue to any degree, but yesterday he had one of his really bad days. And like I said, the level of badness, I don't think people really get, not even people who live with him most times, until they see it. And then they're like, whoa, you know what I mean? Because he can magnify to 1,000, like Dennis the Menace has nothing on him when he's in that mood to be that way. So I just took that opportunity and I talked to him, and I, trying to be more mindful in a parenting moment and trying to turn it into a teaching moment rather than a moment of fear, of pain, of anger, of frustration, of any of those emotions that were attributed to that. I tried to really turn it around and work with it, and I learned something about myself last night, throughout the day, I should say. But I asked for help, and that's something that I don't typically do. I asked for help. I said, when I'm bringing Michael or whoever to swim class, I need somebody to watch one of the other two. I can't take all three of them at the same time, because then I don't get to be there for Michael and I don't get to support him. I have to chase the other two around and go. They were just off the walls crazy. And, I'm not a tablet parent. I will never be. I will never bring video games and tablets and computers and stuff like that to these events. But I also understand that kids need time to run around and play. So I do try to offer them that opportunity for freedom. There's like a little part of the bleachers that they can run around and have a good time. So I said, just as long as you don't go too far, that's fine. Run around, whatever you want to do. But it was just a lot for me. And Mondays typically are, because there's a lot. It's, I get a little bit of sleep from when I come home from work. Then I get up with them in the morning, get them ready for school, off to school. There's 2 separate schools involved. Off to school, I come back, I get the other one in for, I get my daughter in for a nap. Excuse me. And then I come down, I do my stream time, and then I work on business stuff or whatever. And then as soon as like pretty much the stream is over, if I get time to work on business stuff, I do. But usually as soon as the stream's over, I go get my daughter. I go get my to go pick up my son from school, bring him home, lunch, settle in for naps, get a little cleaning done, get business stuff done, do all that stuff. If I have time for a workout, I try to get my workout in. Excuse me. Which I've been making that a priority lately. So usually it's workout first and cleaning and stuff after that if I have time. But, sometimes you just have to do what you need to do. You know what I mean? You can't let either one of those go, and it's got to be about balance. And then immediately right after that, uh, get my 2 kids up, go pick up my son from school, my oldest son, bring him back, homework, snacks, whatever. And left for last night, pretty much immediately after homework and snacks are done, it's right to the swim place. And then that's about an hour. I'd say about 2 hours total, half hour there, an hour there, a half hour driving there, an hour there, half hour back, that type of thing. And then immediately once we get back, it's bath time and bedtime for, systematically for each one of them. You got to figure about like a half hour for bath and getting ready for bed for my daughter, and then my middle, and then Philip, and then my oldest son after that, and everybody's said and done by 8:30, 8 o'clock we're trying for, and it's just a non-stop day, you know what I mean? And then like last night, I lost a lot of time that I thought I would have. And so I wrote the script for today last night to, not the script, but like the notes to talk about and stuff like that. And I finished off that so I'd be ready for today. It was just a lot, it was just a lot. And I had finally realized that I need help on Mondays. So that was a big step for me, asking for help. And, still for just being mindful in the moment with Philip and taking my level of patience and not exerting my anger towards him because I was feeling a certain way. You know what I mean? It was to talk to him and to try to get through it. But to go back where all this started, like there was a point where I was raising my voice. So my voice gets like kind of scratchy if I, when I raise it. So that's what that's about today. That's why I'm coughing a little bit here and there. So just trying to facilitate and take care of my voice. Philip's having a much better day today. It seems to happen that way once in a while. I should mark it on a calendar or something to see if there's like a routine to how he goes through these phases. Cause he's been good. He's been great for a while. And then all of a sudden one day it'll be like, bam. And then after that, like he just hits you with it, and then after that, it's almost like he needs that feedback, that like immediate, like, no, cut it out. You know what I mean? And then he continues on being good for another couple of days or weeks or whatever. You know what I mean? Like really good, with the little challenges in between, but like, it's a growing process. And I fully believe that when you have kids, they are each meant to challenge you in different ways. And in a way that's going to be that you have the opportunity to show them and to help them be who they are, because you can't really show them who they are, to help them be who they are and be comfortable in that and be confident and not break them down in the process. And that is what cued me into really wanting to rework how I deal with my anger in general, but specifically with them too. And, it was just a refresher of what I need to work on, what I need to do better with, and I'll tell them that. I'll talk to them and say, listen, I apologize. I shouldn't have yelled. Yelling is not a good way to express how you feel. I was feeling angry. I was feeling frustrated. I was mad. I was upset because you weren't listening. I was, tell me what's going on. Talk to me. Like, let's figure this out so that we don't run into this problem next time. And what comes from that is, sometimes my son being 3, I started really hard with him when he was like 3 years old. But he's 4 now. And so he'll tell me, he'll be like, I don't know. Or sometimes it'll just be, I don't know. And that's the answer. Like kids are kids, but he's like, sometimes he'll be like, is mommy coming home? And then we'll break that down and I'll be like, cause my wife works long days sometimes, and that wasn't the situation as far as I knew yesterday, but who knows, possibly he might not have known what was going on, but, they know that she works very long days and she's home on the weekends a lot with them, especially Sunday. So, I kind of need to expect that Mondays are going to be a little difficult. But he told me at one point, like he was going crazy and just acting nuts. And I was like, what is going on? And out of this whole conversation, just spending time with him and talking to him and trying to figure it out, he was like, is mommy coming home? And I was like, buddy, is that what's wrong? Like, is that why you've been acting out of like so crazy and out of control? Is that why you can't get control of yourself because you're thinking about mommy and you miss mommy? And he said, yeah. And I said, bud, you don't have to act like this. You don't have to do all this crazy stuff. You can talk to me about it. You can say, I want to talk to mommy, or you can say whatever, you know what I mean? And we'll video chat her and stuff like that. And I know the way it sounds is like she's going off, overseas or something like that, but it's not. It's just, sometimes she makes it makes it home right before bed or whatever, but he's seen her in the morning or he'll see her at night at some point, but he just misses her throughout the day, which is fine. And I'm like, we can video chat mommy. We can talk to mommy. We can call her on the phone. I can tell her to call when she gets a minute. You know what I mean? Like, there's different ways to handle this rather than you acting out and getting in trouble, And that was a big thing that I worked very hard with him to establish communication and talking. And that's one of the things why I wanted to make such a big deal about talking about anger last week, was because I've seen such progress in my life. And like I said, with all this being said, I still had that like a minor setback yesterday with raising my voice, and it was something that I wasn't proud of and I wasn't happy with. But I also have to take a step back and understand what was going on in me and why I was feeling that way, and kind of deconstruct that and figure out how I can rework it for the next time, right? Because I owe it to them. I owe it to myself. I owe it to my family environment to feed positive energy, even out of the worst situations. So that was the longest spiel I think I've ever gone on. But just working up to today, being Try Hard Tuesday, I woke up and there was no car in my driveway. So we thought that we were up to date on the payments for my car, and apparently there were some that got missed or something like that. I'm very confused as to what the situation was. We paid it off. It'll be settled by the end of the day. But it was an immediate thing, and there was a lot of emotion involved. There was a lot of things going around. They have all of our kids' car seats and stuff like that, like all the craziness, right, that you could possibly think of associated with this situation. And I was contemplating not doing this stream today and not recording this segment today for, the video at the end of the week. But I feel as though it's important to, because that's what today's about, right? Today's about exactly that. Before I forget to hit the record key. Today is about using meditation in stressful moments. And the purpose of me continuing with the stream the way that I envision doing it is to prove a point almost. It's to say that regardless of what situations you're in, like the craziness of yesterday leading into the insanity of this morning and whatever, you can still use these practices. And it's to prove to you that no matter what situation you're in, and as hopeless as it may feel, it's important to stop and take these steps to try to get yourself into this routine. Because, obviously, of stuff we're going to talk about in a minute, but because this is the way that you build those new neural pathways. You have the option to give up, or you have the option to change the result. Right? You have the option to change what's going to happen in the end. Let me just pull up my notes. So what we're going to talk about right now is trying to meditate under difficult. What we're going to talk about right now is trying to meditate under difficult circumstances, and the practice of I am flipping. My word is so bad. The practice of meditation can be extremely tricky, especially when there's so much craziness going on in your everyday life. Say you have sick parents or sick in-laws or sick family members or kids or work or, alternating schedules, or, you're barely scraping by with your bills, or, whatever's going on in your personal life. And there's crazier situations too, but thousands upon millions of infinite possibilities of what could be happening. But the point is that, to break down these moments and to be able to understand them differently and work with them differently inside yourself. That's the point of meditation that I want to talk about today. In an article entitled "The Science and Practice of Staying Present Through Difficult Times" by Ed Hallowell at mindful.org, it goes on to say that, quote unquote, in a large trial of MBRP mindfulness trained patients, let me restart that. I'm sorry. In a large trial of MBRP mindfulness trained patients, they drank and used significantly less than those who were treated with cognitive behavioral approaches. And a control group who attended 12-step and psychoeducation groups. The author of the study concludes that the mindfulness was the most successful approach, especially over the longer term, because it enabled patients to monitor and skillfully cope with discomfort associated with craving or having a negative effect. A similar study with smokers found that a mindfulness training was more than 5 times as effective as a standard smoking cessation training program, as measured by abstinence from cigarettes after 4 months, or 31% compared to 6%. Another study has suggested that mindful people are more able to tolerate their own distress rather than react in harmful ways. So why did I include that in there? Well, a lot of people, including myself, used to use or still use substances or some sort of what they consider minor substitute for meditation. And most famously, that's something along the lines of smoking cigarettes. But there's also a very common use of drinking alcohol and smoking marijuana, for example, things like that, or harder drugs even. And what they're saying here is that even in what they say in this study, I believe I wrote down the link, but I'll put the link to the description I'll put the link to the article in the description below. What they're saying here is that through teaching people mindful practices in giving up these chemicals, they were able to first and foremost stop the addiction, stop the use and abuse of these chemicals, and stop the reoccurrence of relapses, stop the going back to using these substances. Able to monitor and skillfully cope with their discomfort associated with these cravings, they were able to completely cut them out of their lives. Most of them were successful, but obviously there's still some that had issues. But it proves the point that meditation and mindfulness are very powerful tools. And one of my first steps, that's why I didn't do mindfulness first as a topic, because one of my first steps, it was to be able to recognize my emotions and recognize how I react to things and how I interact with the world around me. And that is considered mindfulness, but it builds up to mindfulness in a very important way, because sometimes people can think that they have mastered mindfulness and they don't really have any facilities to feel how they feel or notice how they affect other people around them, for example. So mindfulness can be very tricky if you're not more in tune with what's going on. So to continue on, so I'm trying to utilize it more when my kids are around, at work, in traffic, use cautiously with that one, of course, and other situations in my life where I feel like I don't have control or don't have that much control. Especially with the situation that happened this morning too. I noticed myself just from the one day of meditation practice, although I was practicing months and months and months ago, just the one day yesterday of practicing the meditation stuff. I felt like I was able to be a lot more calm and rational in the moment of everything going on. And I was able to kind of take on the situation and go for it. You know what I mean? And go for fixing the problem. And in everyday life, with everything going on all the time, getting those few minutes just to collect yourself into your breath and be a bystander to the reality around you, watching, observing, being one with yourself and yet separate from being one with and yet separate from everything around you, and just being is the key to meditation. And that's why it's an important precursor to mindfulness, is because you get into the practice of being mindful. Doesn't mean that you're aware necessarily. It's a portion of it, but it also means being aware of just the flow of things, being able to separate yourself and just be one with the situations that are around you, rather than being, it's kind of like, I am of this, I live, what's the quote, I am in this world, but I am not of it. Like that type of thing. It's kind of like that, where you can observe everything from an outside view and a non-judgmental view and a loving, respectful view. And you get a whole different perspective on what the situation, even if it has nothing to do with you, of what the situation is. In those times of feeling lost, hopeless, angry, depressed, manic, whatever the emotion that may be standing in for you, those are the hardest but most important times to utilize meditation however you can. It's important to do yourself a favor of building up the tools, because no matter how difficult it may seem, it can, or no matter no matter how difficult it may seem, it's easily 10 times the benefit of it in the end. I apologize. I had like a mini a mini whatever. The process can actually feel quite painful, but in that pain or discomfort, whatever you want to call it, is where the magic really happens. When you actively engage in something like discomfort, with something like discomfort, it creates new neural pathways that redirect your brain to say that the feeling doesn't mean to stop. Instead, you can build a path that gets your brain into the mode of addressing that discomfort so that you can have a better life. So that means basically, it's not in a process of avoiding the feeling, like along with that study, the people who are using drugs and alcohol and things like that to avoid feeling something, or or helping their minds slow down, quote unquote, or like doing something like that. That's something that I used to use it for. And once I discovered that meditation can do the same thing, then it was easier for me to drop those chemicals and that stuff that was involved with that. And that's what this is saying, building those new neural pathways to address things in a different manner. It's not much different than removing a thorn from your skin. Would you rather throw some cream on it and a Band-Aid and hope it works, leaving it there to still sit there and fester, the problem's still there? Or would you rather remove that thorn, even if it hurts at first, and properly clean and dress the wound, knowing that you have addressed and fixed the issue and that nothing's going to come from that? It's done, it's over, it's going to heal, right? That's the exact same situation that we're talking about. So one step that I think the other one, somebody used the example of when I was training through IIN, one of the instructors used the example of sitting on a thumbtack. Well, it causes pain, but in sitting on the thumbtack, you're not going to remove the chair. You know what I mean? You're not going to just completely avoid that, or you're not going to just throw a Band-Aid on it and hopefully it goes away. You're going to remove the thumbtack, right? Because that's the source of your problem. That's the source of the pain. So in meditation, that's addressing it in the same way. You're addressing the source of the pain. You're addressing the source of the discomfort, and you're learning how to work with it in a different way. One step that I found very helpful is what I call mind-body pairings. In holistic practices, you realize that the body works in parallel, that sometimes you don't notice until you partake in practices like meditation. You can be stressed out at work, and once you just took a moment to take a breath and feel that go through your body, you notice a little indigestion, or since you're taking that breath and activating your parasympathetic nervous system, maybe your indigestion goes away. Maybe you get tense when somebody comes near you, or when you go into a meeting, or something along those lines, whatever the situation calls for. And wouldn't it be great if you can work through that and realize where your stress is localized and even fix that? and you get that association of like, oh wow, whenever I'm in this situation, you know, I notice that feeling of back pain or leg pain or shoulder pain or something like that, headaches, migraines, anything like that. It's all very relatable to situations outside of your body. Excuse me. Excuse me. There are associated points in the body that are relative to certain situations, mostly used in practices like Ayurveda and things like that, based on what you're repressing, expressing, feeling, etc. Those feelings manifest often in physical relation to the body, and that's why it's so important to practice. And that's kind of, I think they called it the law of parallels. You know, certain stressors will set off certain things, like I just said a couple of seconds ago. So, you know, the process of where to start with these situations, especially in really tough moments, is just at the beginning. You know, the most important thing that I'm going to keep saying, and that I'm going to keep bringing it back to always with anything: you're overexcited, you're depressed, you're sad, you're mad, you're angry, whatever the situation is, the first thing I'm always going to tell you is bring it back to your breath. First and foremost, bring it back to your breath. Even when your focus is elsewhere or you're feeling some extreme way, your breath is your emergency response measure when it comes to starting the change within you. So focus on your breath however you can. Even if it's your normal breaths and you're simply observing them, that's beautiful. It'll still work, I promise. You even do it without even thinking about it. Whenever you take a sigh or just a deep breath of relief or whatever, that's your body trying to activate your parasympathetic nervous system and trying to get that calm response out of you. When you feel that work, you can stop there and get back to reality if you want to do that. Again, just going back a couple of seconds, you know, a lot of people think that you have to focus on breath work in order to get your body to calm down, and that's not necessarily true. Depends on your level of concentration, your focus, your situation, whatever's going on. Obviously, if you're driving, you can't close your eyes and take deep breaths and only focus on that, right? So what you can do, even with your eyes open and observing the environment around you, you can just notice how your breath feels. You know, while you're breathing normally, just be like, wow, that's pretty cool, and acknowledge it in some positive way. And that'll be enough to bring enough of your attention to that breath in order to separate yourself from the situation that is stressing you. And you'll notice that after a couple of seconds of doing that, you already feel incrementally better. Obviously, if you have the time and practice, or, you know, you try to work your way up to being able to take deeper, more mindful breaths, breathing through the diaphragm and things like that. So yeah, even if it's your normal breath and you're simply observing these breaths, that's what you need to do. When you feel that work, you can stop there and get back to reality, like I said before, or continue on to the next step, which is to acknowledge what's happening in the moment to elicit this response. The reason for this is twofold. It's to establish the building blocks of your new neural pathways or connections, and to pair the situation of what's happening with the reaction of breathing, and to begin your process of reverse engineering the situation. If you notice yourself taking a breath and you want to leave it there, that's fine. That's up to you. This whole process is about you. But if you want to take it further and understand why you're feeling the certain way that you're feeling, or why you're experiencing that need to take that breath in that moment, then this is the step that we're on. If you want to continue with that, just like I said, acknowledge what's happening from a non-judgmental view. There's no emotion paired. There's no anything going on. You know, say you're in a fight with somebody or something is happening. You know, you just avoided a car accident or something. Acknowledge what happened. Try to leave the emotion out of it. Try to leave everything out of it. That part will come. But for now, just acknowledge what the situation was without judgment. There is no, oh, he cut me off because he's an asshole or anything like that. A car came in front of me. We almost hit. You know, I got stressed out for a couple minutes and just, there's my breath. Let's get back to the breath again. You know, that's all it takes to initiate this second portion of it. And then once you kind of get used to that process of just pairing your breath with these processes or these emergency situations or whatever, or the whatever you're feeling in that moment, you can stop there and you can just ride that out. Or this, like I said before, this may be a step-by-step situation where you need to practice it a few times before you get it to where you feel better or comfortable. However you need to proceed is fine. If you choose to proceed beyond the awareness of what's happening, still focusing on your breath, always keep that in mind through every one of these steps. Try to scratch the surface a bit. Try to allow yourself, without judgment and with love, to feel your feelings. What are you going through in that moment? What are you experiencing? What do you remember? How did you feel? The key here is to focus on you. That's it sounds selfish, but it's very crucial at this step. The process is for you to be more comfortable within your own self, to get to know yourself better. And a nice side effect is showing up as your fully in tune self for the world. So that's the important key behind this step, is to focus on you and how you feel, what's going on in your body. Now we kind of get into the heavier stuff. Once the surface is scratched and you're, feeling and observing your feelings, then comes the flood of feelings that, or something related to that you didn't know was there because, well, by now you've trained yourself inadvertently to not feel those feelings, or you have that wall up for whatever reason, whether it's self-preservation or self-defense, or you're scared of something or whatever. It comes from all different things. It can come from your upbringing, your social pressure, your interpretations of what others will feel about you. Whatever it may be will come out once you start scratching that surface and getting a better understanding of what you felt in that moment. There's far more behind it, I promise you that. This can be a painful process, just to give you that heads up, because it's a lot of, I associate it, not to go back to Marvel Comics too much, but I associate it to one of the comic books that I had read having to do with the Silver Surfer. The Silver Surfer was a character who went around and helped this other character, Galactus, find planets to consume. He turned it around. He became a good guy, and he fought against Galactus. And then one day he realized that he was very apathetic, and he realized that he had almost no emotion when it came to saving people, even though he knew it was the right thing to do. So he went back to the source of his power, which was Galactus, the guy who used to help. And he said, what did you do to me? And Galactus said, I covered your emotions. I took them away so that you wouldn't feel the pain of the burden of what I sent you to do, which was consuming planets. And so he said, you have no right to do that. And I want my emotions back. I want my memories back. I want all of that stuff returned to me. I'm the rightful owner. It's my burden to bear. And so he gave it back. And once he scratched that surface of knowing that there's something beyond that, a whole flood of emotions came over him, and he was almost broken by it because, obviously it was an extreme situation where he's gone through civilizations and stuff like that. But it's relative to this, because once you scratch that surface, you're going to start seeing stuff that you didn't know was even there behind that veil of, the initial reaction, trying to think of like a pretty easy example. Say you're in a fight with somebody, and you are going through these steps of kind of trying to activate these meditations in the moment, right? Your breath, how you're feeling, what's going on. And in this process, you start to realize like, oh, we're fighting because we're angry with each other, but there's so much more that's built up behind this that's pushing me to react this way over such a small thing, something like that. This is almost kind of like a phase 2 of your feeling your feelings step, because once those floodgates come crashing down, you may feel very uncomfortable, overwhelmed. I'm going to change that to you will feel very uncomfortable and overwhelmed, lost or confused, but stay the course and don't give up. That's the point behind this step. Stay the course and don't give up, because you'll survive it, and it'll lead to a way better situation than what you're in now. It'll lead to stopping this cycle from happening, because you'll start to notice the cycles and repetitions and things like that too. The key here again is to just observe with patience, love, and respect for yourself how you're feeling. It's almost like, for lack of a better way to put it, let the feelings happen to you. Let it happen. And, just stand back and observe without judging yourself or judging what the situation is again, and just see all this stuff come out and recognize it for what it is. A passing sensation or feeling, right? And then once you get beyond that, you're pretty much, it's like you're through the appetizers now, and now you're getting to the real stuff. You're at the main course of the meal. It's another level of discomfort in testing yourself. There's a theme behind this whole situation. It's literally that throughout this entire process, a new level of testing your own self. It's about discovering what came from, what surrounded, and what preceded the feelings. How did you feel about them? Did they serve you? What did they do or not do for you? And how did they make you respond, or how did they instigate a response from you? This is a kind of form of like scanning for connections that you didn't realize were there. It's a way to strengthen that neural bridge that you're in the process of building. Because what you can discover is that what you were initially feeling a certain way about something, but you discover that you felt that way because you lacked insight into yourself or the situation fully. For example, like feeling disrespected, but you discovered you were really just scared or nervous, and it clouded your mind to the situation, and you thought something completely different. The next logical step, or dessert, as I would like to call it, is to keep it or junk it. And this is kind of like the step where you kind of just filter out everything that you don't need. That's honestly all this comes down to be. Does the conclusion you came to make sense? Does the end result serve you? Or is there something that you need to be more aware of, something that you think you need to change, or what have you? Is it just a situation that you need to let go of? This last step is when you get way further into things and really understand how to respect yourself and understand things up until this point. Everything to do with all of the previous steps, you're now going to get a solid basis for what's happening. What is this about? At this point, you'll know if a reaction, an emotion, a thought, or an interaction, a relationship maybe, is serving you or not. And what you'll discover is that your mind and body are far more in sync now, and can now help to guide you as to whether or not it's something to keep or get rid of. Even in the emotional situation of getting cut off in traffic, you'll find yourself getting to this point of whatever's right for you first and foremost. But in my case, it's more of a thing of like, whatever, there, like nothing happened. I had to stop short. Okay. I gave the initial reaction or whatever, or I didn't, whatever. I had to stop short. Maybe they needed to get somewhere. Maybe they were in danger of being fired if they didn't get to work on time. Maybe they have an emergency going on that I don't know about, and it's hard, but it's important to take that time out of yourself. That's a part of being one with everything around you, is recognizing that there might be something beyond what you see. Right. And the end result to this is a far more intricate experience of what causes stress in your body or in your mind, and how they relate to each other, and how to really pull your holistic self together, mind, body, and spirit, to grow and to learn with meditation. The possibilities are literally endless, not to be corny or sound whatever. But along this process, you'll discover things about yourself that you didn't know were there, and reach a completely new state of mindfulness and a completely new process in each of these situations. The best part is, as long-winded as this may feel or may seem, it'll become instantaneous. This will be your new reaction. Your new neural bridge is now built, and you have something to walk on to a brand new destination, or a new way to get to the same old destination, rather than repeating the same old path or method and showing up with nothing, right? Once those new pathways are built, that's the only way you'll know or remember how to do it. And like I said, it takes time, but now that you've built that, it's important to recognize and important to give yourself credit for that and really live according to that new standard that you have set for yourself. Will there be setbacks? Sure, always. Will there be things that challenge you? Yes, constantly. But the point is that the things that start challenging you, when you look back and you've changed them or you've overcome them or you've addressed that challenge, each time you do it, you're just going to get stronger and stronger and better and more efficient at it. And when you look back on it, you're going to be like, I cannot believe that was even a challenge in my mind. And that's the magical part behind this. And not just leading into mindfulness, but establishing the important things about what help you control you better, and help you get a better idea of who you are and where you really need to be according to how you feel, So I just wanted to talk about that today. That was pretty much the whole spiel there, the whole situation. I have to find that link before it gets too late. But now that we're running close to time, I do want to make sure that I get in some time to practice meditation. And this is going to be challenging because I hear people walking around and I hear people doing things. And with all the craziness, I'm still feeling the drive and the emotion. And doing these streams gets me pumped. I have to tell you that. Doing these streams gets me very excited and pumped and, feeling good, right? So for me to kind of retune that and tune that back down a little bit is going to be an interesting situation with everything involved. And I'm interested to see now how the rest of the day progresses from there. So let's get into it. We're going to pause that. Where's my mouse? Is this it? Can we get back to... There it is. Wow, it picked up. All right, cool. So we're on plane right now. I will do the guided meditation for today, being that it's Try Hard Tuesday, and most people are just joining from, really starting the meditative process. I would like to do the guided 10-minute meditation to, again, facilitate that all you need is 5 or 10 minutes. We can do 5 minutes too. But do the guided meditation and, see what it's about. Have you tried exercising in nature? He asks you just random things then, that you can respond to and talk to. And I don't feel like it's that intrusive. I feel like it's just a thing where I just answered one simple, quick question because yes, I do, and I have. So sure, I'll try it again. So we're gonna go here. We're gonna go up to 10 minutes, and we're going to. I want to do the guided meditation with guided audio. Yes. Ooh, I just cracked my back. It felt good. So we're gonna do the plain meditation with guided audio, and then maybe tomorrow we'll do a shorter version of the guided meditation or something. I don't know. All right, so guided. I am going to turn my microphone off so you don't hear any of the surrounding noise.
In this meditation, we are going to explore the nature of our thoughts. So let's begin. Close your eyes and bring your breathing back to its normal rhythm. Are you breathing? To answer that question, you became aware of your own breathing. Keep your awareness on your breathing. If you like, you can place your awareness on the physical sensations of your breath, like how the air expands around your abdomen or how the air enters and leaves your nose. Remain aware of your breath. You'll notice that thoughts will start to appear. When you observe a thought, acknowledge it by clicking your mouse or tapping the space bar, and bring your awareness back to your breathing. Remember, you're not resisting thoughts from rising, and you're not encouraging thoughts from rising neither. You're just watching as the thought comes and watching as the thought leaves, just like the tides in a river. Remain in this awareness of the breath and observe as thoughts appear and disappear. If it makes it easier every time a thought appears, you can acknowledge it by tapping the mouse button or pressing the space bar. Sometimes we'll forget to remain as an observer and we'll get lost in a thought. When your mind wanders like this, just bring your awareness back to your breath. In this meditation, you're exploring the nature of your thoughts while using your breath to remain as an observer and not a participant in your thoughts. For the remainder of the meditation, all you do is this. Keep your awareness on your breathing. When you observe a thought, acknowledge it by clicking your mouse or tapping the space bar, and bring your awareness back to your breathing. I'll leave you to complete the rest of the meditation. If you need further guidance, then follow the instructions on the screen.
Whew. Well, that was rough. Not rough, but okay. Let me just come back a little bit. So, as you can see, we'll go over this a little bit more because I do have to start getting going to picking my son up. So we're just gonna turn this back down a little bit. So after the meditation, I think I bumped this thing out of the way a little bit. There we go. So after the meditation, it gives you that little review of things. You can go into my progress and get kind of this breakdown of, you know, where you're at, and you can level up, you can do all this other stuff. You get, you know, bonuses as you meditate and things like that too. Let's see, was this where we get the information from? You're on your highest streak, blah blah blah. There's somewhere where you can get your stats. My effort, I think this is it. Yeah, so here it is. So you see your effort, how many days you've meditated total, what your level is at, your streaks. My current streak is 2 days straight. Your highest streak is 2 days straight. Your sessions, there's 11 total sessions. Total time is 1 hour and 2 minutes of meditation. Total thoughts is 227 altogether. The last session was a duration of 10 minutes, and there was 59 thoughts. So thoughts are when you heard those little ding, ding, dings or whatever. I'm trying to redo the sound. The little teardrop sounds were what those thoughts were. They were, you know, what he said to do whenever you start feeling that your mind is wandering or whatever. And it's just a way to practice bringing back your attention to your breath. Is that click is you're acknowledging the thought, and now it's time to be done with it. You know what I mean? So I like this game a lot. This game, because it like through the guided practice, we'll try to do it. I think we're gonna do a different guided meditation tomorrow. I want to do like the repeating the phrase one or something like that. We'll see where it goes. But the beauty of it is you could choose what you do day by day, and it's not like a game to be stressed out about or whatever. It's literally just to show you that you can do it, and it's just to provide some sort of medium for you. Like I know once the wind blew, it was easier for me to kind of ignore the other thoughts and things that were going on in my head and stuff like that, and it makes it easier for me to. It makes it easier for me to acknowledge my thoughts and let them go when I have to or when I need to, which is often a problem for me. In those 59 instances of me having thoughts, could have easily been one thought, or there could have easily been 20 other thoughts at the same time, literally. So I think that's a very interesting feature, and I love this game a lot. I do like it a lot. But I have to get to picking up my son. So let me just throw up these links right over here for you so you have them. So the top one's the Discord, bottom one's the social links and the website. If you want to get in touch with me for any of my services, please feel free. Also on YouTube under Balancing Vitality LLC. My latest video is up, so if you want to go check that out, I think my YouTube's linked in my About Me page, or I will fix that. Either way, you can access it through any one of my socials. The podcast will be back up and running soon, and then I will put all of the videos that we do here on the podcast every week. But I hope you guys found some valuable information in today's stream. I hope you guys felt something with it. If you did, if you're watching this video later on the VODs or on YouTube, share it with a friend, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think and how you feel about it. And if you have anything to add, this is all about, us, you know what I mean? This community. Throw it up in the Discord if you need to. I have a suggestion box there as well as in the chat. So please feel free, and I'm very active on Discord. My socials as well, but more active on Discord. Oh, there's a YouTube link. It's right there, specifically. Feel free to hit me up, guys. I'm here for the community and to grow the community and to share the love. So I'd appreciate that the followage or whatever. Until then, guys, Whacked Out Wednesdays tomorrow. I will be back at 10 a.m. And we're going to talk about some funny instances of things that happen during meditation, some different ways to meditate, and some more lighthearted stuff than what we've been going through, I feel like. Guys, enjoy the rest of your day. Have a good one. Remember, always take it back to your breaths and then just proceed from there. Have a good day.